Welcome to 5 Minutes of Management for Rick Bell. I'm Frank Kalman. Be sure to check out Workforce Live. We're coming to Washington, D.C. in just 2 days on March 26th at the National Press Club. We'll be in New York City on April 8th and Atlanta on May 6th. Rick, we got the second round of the NCAA tournament, or I should say the third round of the NCAA tournament approaching this weekend. We had an action-packed weekend of games happen this past weekend, but it leads us to the age-old debate over should college athletes get paid. Now,
which we've talked about before.
We've talked about it plenty of times before. The most recent numbers coming out, with all the television rights and the licensing and the sponsorship, the NCAA pulled a profit of about $60 million that year. So that's a profit of $60 million, which means they're pulling in revenue in the hundreds of millions of dollar range. And you know how much these athletes are getting?
Big goose egg.
Goose egg. Zero. So, Rick, what do you think? Should athletes get paid, and under what structure do you think it's?
Oh no, they should be, and it's going to happen. I don't foresee that this is going to be continuing for the next several years. The debate. I think you'll see them get paid, whether it's in some sort of a stipend or whether it's just straight cash out. That they will get paid. One proposal that I did hear of was to put it into some sort of not a retirement fund, but into a fund that could be recovered once they get out of school or advance on to whatever their career is going to be. But yeah, you got to think about it. It's like these guys and women have a pretty short opportunity, and maybe I think I've read that like 10% of the athletes that are in college can actually go on to some sort of a professional career.
Yeah, I think there is some form of compensation that's appropriate. I think you do have to rein it in a little bit and not let a free market approach sort of dictate who gets paid how much, because if in that case, football and basketball and the best players on those teams would obviously get the greatest slice of the pie. I think, like you mentioned, the proposal that's on the table involving a stipend or even to put money into a fund for athletes that did decide to pursue the degree to completion, and then they could have that money at the end, because you could make the argument for one-and-done players in college basketball. They're able to recover whatever money and more as professional basketball players, but as we know, of the 15 guys on the bench, maybe 1 or 2% are actually viable NBA prospects in the long term. Yep. So I think, the biggest one is the stipend. Anything else we got today, Rick?
Did you order your Apple Watch yet?
I have not. I haven't been able to find the extra 10 grand laying around to buy it.
Yeah, well, and it's whether we see that become a workplace issue, I don't know. But wearables obviously are a huge issue in the workplace. We've come to find out, we have a story that's going to be running in the May issue of Workforce regarding wearable devices and the lack of regulation under the under the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration. So, Food and Drug Administration, my apologies. So yeah, so there are implications, and whether the Google or the Apple Watch has any implications in the workplace remains to be seen, but I think it's something that we may discuss at a future point.
Yeah, just like, biometric screenings and all those other things that we've been talking about lately in the magazine, a lot of scrutiny has come down on those topics, and we'll have to keep an eye on it, especially as Apple wants to use the watch as sort of a push into more medical research and things like that.
And a car.
And a car, that's right. Well, thanks for joining us on this edition of Workforce Live. Be sure to check out as we come to Washington, D.C. on March 26th, April 8th in New York, and May 6th in Washington, D.C. Have a good one.
Take care.